Good morning, Bix Weir, roadtoroot.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. And the boys are at it again. As predicted, we had a 14-day repo that it matured today. So what did they do? They had to dump another, 42.6 billion repo on top of that. So they increased it by 12.6 plus added another 45.5 of overnight, which brings our current total of banker bailouts for today, October 10th, to $235.95 billion. Let's round up because we should probably round up a lot higher because we have the reverse repos that haven't been reported. Those get reported a couple hours later. And those will probably be in the 5 billion range, 4 or 5 billion range. So let's just call it $240 billion bailout tonight for these banks that are in such good shape because our economy is in such good shape. It's complete bullshit. This is a complete bailout of the banksters. But it's just overnight. Again, and I've talked about this a lot. Let's check out what they did. Let's see, right here on the 14-day, which means it matures on October 14th, 30.7 in treasury bills and 11.9 in mortgage-backed securities. I don't know which is which. Obviously, the mortgage-backed securities is stuff with really bad mortgages, like the worst of the worst. That's why they put them on the balance sheet of the Fed. But it turns out that the treasuries are even worse. 2, 3, 4 owners in each treasury. That's how criminal these banksters are. That's what's being done at the DTCC. The Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation is a fraud. I've been screaming about it. That is the vault that got flooded at 55 Water Street during Hurricane Sandy. That is the heart of the criminal enterprise, Seed and Company. Seed and Company is screwed too because there's 2 or 3 owners to everything that Seed and Company owns. But ultimately, they're the name. They're the holder. Nobody knows who Seed and Company. All this is bullshit and will get wiped away with a crash. It's funny. Laws are not exactly upheld when there's a banking collapse and everybody loses everything. You know, it's one of those things. When a customer defaults, that's too bad for the customer because the bank goes after them. When all their customers default, it's too bad for the bank because the bank has nothing they can do. This is a situation where so many assets that we call real assets have been rehypothecated, meaning many owners for the same assets, including U.S. Treasury bills, including mortgage-backed securities. And they don't even trust each other anymore. The banks don't trust each other. That is why Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan bumped their derivative position by $11 trillion the first quarter of this year. How is that even allowed? Who is that regulator? The Federal Reserve Bank. Who will be destroyed and kicked out? The Federal Reserve Bank. But they're falling on the sword. That was always the plan. Create as much money as possible, soaking up all the benefits of free money, unlimited free money, and then destroy the system. That's what they're doing now. This will get bigger and bigger and bigger until they're going to have to come to Congress. And I think they're going to come to Congress for $20 trillion, which puts us into November. According to my expert little graph here, this is on the private road. And I'll get to that in a second. Great, huge giveaway on the private road for a 1-year subscription. Check out, this is the linear graph. As you can see, since 9/11, pretty much straight on line. There's going to be bigger and bigger jumps coming up. And then you get into the exponential. Right now, I've put this number of 20 trillion out there for a long time. I think 20 trillion is the amount of money they're going to come to Congress for a long-term bailout. And then it's up to us. Will we decide to bail out the banks or not? I'm hoping we don't. But in the same vein, what happens if we don't bail out the banks? She becomes president. Elizabeth Warren blames businesses for everything. Brace for extreme socialism if Warren gets her way. If the banks fail, Elizabeth Warren is a shoo-in if we have another president. I don't think we will have another president. I think everything will get restructured when the entire system falls apart. Because all these people won't matter anymore. President won't matter anymore. Probably be the military in charge for a while, and that's not a bad thing. What would the military be required to do? Keep the peace, and that's it. No more stealing our freedoms. That's the amazing thing. We need the military to be in power so our freedoms are maintained. That's how bad it is in Washington. So we will see what happens. The exponential graph to 20 trillion goes out to probably early November. I'll be updating this as the repos increase, and they are increasing. They are increasing with no explanation from the Fed, other than they said, we're going to have to do something bigger. I think that's something bigger is going to come probably Monday or Tuesday of next week. Actually, from the Fed, they usually do it on Friday night, but it won't really kick in until Monday, which is a bank holiday. So, and then we got these crazy power outages, planned power outages in California, and they're telling everybody to stock up with at least a week's worth of food. Are they doing that to get people prepared for some kind of bank shutdown for next week? I don't know. We will find out soon enough. We're not going to have to wait long for that one. But just in case you don't know about the full insanity of this, from Bloomberg, even Greece is getting paid to borrow money in debt markets. Negative yields reach Euro's most indebted nation. Greece, who literally has been bailed out of everything. They should have never joined the EU. They'd be fine had they just stuck to their own sovereign currency, although they would have printed the shit out of it. But they wouldn't be selling off their assets. They wouldn't be slaves to an unelected board of banking criminals known as the EU. Greece is the one-time bond market pariah at the heart of Europe's sovereign debt crisis. Just completed a transformative journey by joining the region's negative yield club. Investors, listen to this. Investors are now paying for the privilege of lending it cash. A sale of 487.5 million euros, that's $535 million of 13-week bills Wednesday, drew a yield of minus 0.02%. Greece joins the likes of Ireland, Italy, Spain, benefiting from the European Central Bank's supportive monetary policy and deepening fears of a global recession. It's a stark turnaround for the euro area's most indebted member, which was forced to accept the biggest bond restructuring in history in March 2012, as Greece's membership of the currency bloc came into doubt. Now the region is grappling with an altogether different problem, the spread of negative yields, which reduces borrowing costs for governments, but threatens to harm savers, pension funds, and insurers. Absolutely destroys them. It doesn't threaten to harm them. It destroys them, as in destroys them. Especially pension funds and retirement funds, who are required to carry a certain amount of government bonds. At negative yield, they're required to lose money. And they all have, all their projections are based on 5-6% returns, which they're not happening. If you have a retirement account anywhere, it will not happen. Don't count on it. It will be gone. If you have if you're in the U.S. and you got an IRA, call Will Lair at perpetualassets.com. Perpetualassets.com. See if you can do a self-directed IRA rollover. Get your assets into your own hands, because whoever holds your assets will not be around. Fidelity will not be around. Not a chance. Schwab will not be around. You name it. Run the numbers. They're running out of money. And they're all rehypothecated asset. It is a mess. Will Lair, perpetualassets.com. This is for IRAs. If you want to get your assets into your own possession so you can buy gold and silver and hold it yourself. Those companies that are saying, oh, we can set up a gold and silver IRA for you, a crypto IRA. If they hold your assets, you will lose them. Read my lips. You will lose them in the banking collapse. So, and obviously the banks are about to collapse. We have insanity paying Greece to borrow your money. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Greece, the worst credit in the EU, paying them. Yes, full insanity reigns. That's why this person will be the next president. If there's a next president, if there's a banking collapse, there will be a banking collapse. Question is, will there be another president in the United States? I don't think so. I don't think either side would accept the solution. Clearly, the left isn't going to accept Trump. Clearly, the right isn't going to accept Warren. And now that the left has shown the right that you don't have to accept the president, voila. Great article from Martin Armstrong, Armstrong Economics. He does these Q&A stuff, and this is the cost of political divide. The question was Trump impeachment. You know, Marty, since the Democrats have tried unsuccessfully for so long to find some dirt on Trump, the guy must be squeaky clean. No? Here's his answer. Impeachment occurs when someone does something while in office. It is not based on what they did before. All the stuff they bring up from his past, such as tax returns to pictures with Epstein, are all an attack upon his character in hopes that it will persuade some to vote against him, but they are preaching to the choir. Both Republicans and Democrats bash the opposition to keep their constituents happy, for they are just biased and would never vote for the other party because they lack any ability to think objectively. I get emails that are always claiming that Trump is a prior crook or something in how he should be impeached, but that only reveals their bias. They're going after Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh again. This is a pointless effort and highly damaging to the entire political system. What he did or did not do in college 40 years ago is absurd. No one's entire life should be judged based on an incident they were involved in at a drunken party in college. It is rare to find someone who can even believe what they once did back in their school days. Brett Kavanaugh cannot go to many places in Washington, according to the Washington Post. He's isolated by these personal attacks to this day. The allegations have scarred him and his family for life. As reported, at the La Femme restaurant in Chevy Chase, a woman yelled at him and his wife, insulting him in public, and on a different night, one customer stood to applaud him. He simply cannot go out in many parts of Washington, for people are no longer respectful or civil. The Democrats want to hold impeachment proceedings to try to remove him from the Supreme Court. Good luck with that. Again, you cannot impeach someone for what happened 40 years before. Only a fool does not learn from their mistakes. We all change as we mature, and it's called wisdom. Christine Blasey Ford, who made the unsupported allegations that Kavanaugh had sexually assaulted her and in the process destroyed him and his family's lives forever, has herself been subjected to the new world where respect has vanished and people are no longer civil in public. She relocated 4 times and has been unable to return to teaching. She too cannot go out to dinner without being harassed. Welcome to the new world of political fragmentation. What she has experienced is not much different from the person she accused. Making such public accusations that are exploited for political purposes is something that will change your life forever. You will never convince the core of the opponent, so your life will be destroyed in the process. You might as well move out of the country. Worse still, Ford's testimony exposed a gender war simmering below the surface. There were women who supported Ford only because she was a woman. Their position was that women tell the truth and men were scum and should not be believed. That was a raw feeling which also emerged in addition to the political divide. I'm sure Ford would never testify if she knew the real cost of what has truly changed her life. This is society. There is no changing the way people will react in such a politically charged environment. Some women say she has the right to tell her story. The difference is only between a local setting and one that will be plastered on the front pages of the entire world. Life is not fair. We just have to get used to that. The fallout has been seriously damaging to the point that this will impact people who would normally be willing to take positions in government. There are people I know who would have been interested in being president, but they have no desire to put their family through such an ordeal. The same is now true about any position on the Federal Reserve to Supreme Court. What was done to Kavanaugh was such a violation of personal dignity that nobody who is qualified will want to subject their family to such nonsense. And as far as Trump, he's probably the perfect person for president because he has thick skin. It takes a rare person to be able to handle such personal attacks constantly. This is the destruction of our government. All this hatred and demands to go after anyone who you disagree with defeats the very purpose of civilization. Years ago, if the opposition won, you simply moved on. Today, they spill out such hatred there is no longer any point to being one nation under God. Divide the country, build a wall down the center, and force everyone to move to the side where they politically agree or just leave. The day is coming when there will be no returning to normal. I think we're already past that day. Martin Armstrong. Yes, Republicans aren't going to allow Elizabeth Warren to have a nice, smooth transition because they didn't let Donald Trump have a nice, smooth transition. It is over. The way our government, there's 35 million people work directly or indirectly for the government in the United States. That is over too. When the banking system fails, all rules change. Everything changes. Everything changes. And hopefully it won't change into socialism, but that's what will happen as the banks crash. And the next president's allowed to be put in place. We live in a very scary time. But on a happier note, I am giving away, I don't know how much longer. I promised everyone I'd do it for the weekend. I'm giving away one Very token, and Veritasium is now over $20. So this is the last weekend for the Veritasium giveaway. If you want a Very token on a paper wallet with a silver Ruta coin, join the Road to Ruta private road and you will get both. Again, the private road includes all the Patreon posts are posted on the private road as well. So if you just want the Patreon, go to Patreon and join. If you want the private road, you're going to get a Very token in the mail plus the coolest silver coin ever. And all this for $299 for a full year. And these two investments right here are going to pay for it, in my opinion. That's not a guarantee. But Veritasium's up like 80% now. Since just rumors. I mean, it's not even rumors. It was a court filing to extend because they're in settlement negotiations with the SEC. When that gets removed, that has been a huge problem with Veritasium because the SEC was stopping deals behind the scenes. The Jamaican deal, the Vadar, everything that Reggie was doing, the SEC was blocking him as he went forward. They actually went behind Reggie's back to the Jamaican Stock Exchange and says, don't deal with Veritasium. That is insane. The SEC will be gone. They're scared of Veritasium because Veritasium can take the place of the SEC. Peer-to-peer transactions, you don't need to monitor these criminal exchanges. That's my take. So if you want, go to roadtoroad.com, hit subscribe today right here, and check it out. This is Bix Weir, roadtoroad.com. Oh, like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to tell people. Like and subscribe tomorrow or today. I'm going to do a concert, a live simulcast concert. I got some new songs I wanted to try out, some covers. I learned a new Jackson Browne cover I'm all excited about. So come check it out. I'll let you know later today if it's going to be today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow afternoon. It's Bix Weir, roadtoroad.com. I'll talk to you later.